Ever get that feeling, like when you just know what someone's about to say? Or when you feel like you're totally on the same wavelength as somebody, like, emotionally?
Yeah.
Well, today we're going to look into that thought transference, mind reading, all that.
Okay.
It's something that's fascinated people forever, right?
Right.
Like, way back. And also, what scientists are looking at now.
Yeah, it is fascinating. And it pops up in history in all these different ways.
Really?
Like the ancient Egyptians, for example.
Okay.
They believed that human, like the organism itself, was a receiver for messages.
What? Like messages from other people?
Yeah, from other people, but not even just people,
Right.
from the universe itself.
Wow.
And they even thought that as humans kind of like developed, that connection faded, and that's why our lifespans get shorter.
So they're saying, like, humans used to be telepathic.
That's that's one way to look at it through a modern lens, yeah.
Wow, that's a big idea.
Uh,
But but did they have any evidence for that? Like, I mean, how?
well, it's more about how they understood connection.
Okay.
A lot like the idea of the Greek palimpsest.
A palimpsest. What's that?
So it's this tablet where they'd write messages and then cover them with wax and write new messages on top. Like
Hmm.
layers of communication, all kept over time.
Oh, I see. Like how our thoughts and emotions are all kind of layered inside us.
Exactly.
Okay, but has anyone like actually studied if this mind reading stuff is real?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Back in the late 1800s, there was this group, the English Society for Psychical Research.
Okay.
They did all these experiments to try and measure thought transference.
And what happened?
Well, they got some pretty interesting results, including this really famous case with the Creary children.
Oh wait, weren't they the ones who could like guess hidden cards and stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like way beyond what you'd expect just by chance.
Uh-huh.
The odds against them were like millions to one.
Wow.
So it seems like there was something else going on besides luck?
Yeah. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. They also had that study with Mr. G.A. Smith, right?
Oh, right. He could like copy shapes someone drew in another room.
While blindfolded.
Yeah. Even when they like put a pillowcase and blanket over the drawing.
That's wild. Okay, so how did they think this mind reading actually worked? Like, was it magic or
Well,
something?
think about it like communication. You've got wired, like the telegraph, and wireless, like radio waves.
Yeah.
The people studying this back then, they saw thought transference the same way.
Hmm.
They had two main types: contact mind reading and telepathic mind reading.
Okay, so what's the difference?
With contact mind reading, they thought our nervous systems were like those telegraph wires, sending thoughts through touch.
Oh, interesting.
But telepathic mind reading, that was more wireless. Like thoughts were vibrations traveling through something called the ether.
Ether.
Yeah, like how radio waves carry sound.
Okay, so the ether carries thoughts,
Right.
but how do they get picked up?
Now, this is where it gets kind of, out there. They thought the pineal gland, that little gland in your brain?
Yeah,
They said that was the receiver.
really. The pineal gland.
To them, it was like a bridge between, you know, the physical world and the mental world.
But didn't scientists back then have no idea what the pineal gland even did?
Well, yeah, now we know it mostly controls sleep cycles.
Right.
But back then, the occultists, they saw it as something way more mystical.
I guess for them, the idea of these invisible vibes affecting us wasn't so weird.
Exactly. I mean, we can't see radio waves or Wi-Fi, but they definitely do stuff, right?
That's true. So if thoughts are like these vibrations, did that mean they can get, like, amplified?
That's exactly what they thought. They called them thought forms.
Thought forms.
Yeah, like bundles of mental energy that can actually affect the world around us.
Wait, really?
Think about strong emotions like love, fear, anger.
Okay.
They thought those emotions create powerful thoughts that radiate out, making these thought forms on a mental level.
Okay, now that is some mind-bending stuff. So you're saying our thoughts can actually, like, shape reality.
Well, let's explore that a little more. Yeah, it might sound kind of chaotic at first,
Uh-huh.
but think about it like a symphony or something.
Okay.
You know, every instrument's doing its own thing, but together it makes this whole sound.
Yeah.
The occultists thought forms work like that, you
So
know?
some are stronger than others.
Yeah, exactly. And they're always like bouncing off each other.
I guess a really strong one, if a lot of people are feeling the same thing, that could have a big impact, huh?
You got it. They'd point to things um like social movements or how fast trends catch on.
Right. Yeah.
That was thought forms in action to them.
That's interesting. Like, remember when we talked about the telegraph
Yeah.
and how Samuel Morse, he had such a hard time getting people to, accept it. It was a
Right.
totally new idea.
Yeah.
So people were skeptical.
Yeah, for sure.
But then eventually, it changed everything.
Totally revolutionized communication.
Do you think maybe thought forms were part of that too?
It's a cool way to think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, Morse had this super strong vision, right?
Right.
Like a thought form of instant communication, even over huge distances.
Right.
And as he kept working, that vision kind of spread to other people.
Like it gained momentum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Until it became real in the physical world.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, like, inventions are kind of like mental blueprints that become reality. But
Yeah.
wouldn't that go for other creative stuff too?
Totally. Like art, music, writing.
Like, imagine a composer trying to write down a melody.
Yeah.
It's like they're trying to grab it from somewhere else.
Right. It's like the music already exists somewhere. They just gotta, like, bring it into our world.
So it's like they're tuning into this, like, universal library of thought forms.
Exactly. That's the core of what they believe, the occultists.
Oh, yeah.
That everything's connected.
And kind of humbling, right?
It is.
Like, what we think is just one person's genius might actually be coming from this, like, pool of creativity that we all share.
Yeah, and it makes you think, like, where do ideas really come from?
Right. But even if we don't go that deep, there's still the question of, like, how can we use thought power to, improve our lives?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like, say we're not trying to invent something big or write a symphony.
Right.
Are there things we can do, like, every day to use this thought power?
For sure. Even if you don't, like, fully believe in all the occult stuff, there's still a lot to be said for positive thinking, visualizing things, setting intentions.
Okay.
Think about the placebo effect.
Oh, right.
People get better just because they think something will work.
Yeah.
Even if it's like a sugar pill or something.
So their thoughts are literally changing their body.
It really seems that way.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So you're saying we don't have to be, like, totally into thought forms and all that to benefit from the power of thought?
Nope. The idea is the same. If you focus your thoughts on, like, healing or success or good things happening,
Yeah.
you're basically creating this mental plan that can affect your life.
It's like you're putting out a signal, and it attracts the same kind of energy back to you.
Kinda.
Okay, but what about when things go wrong? Like when we have setbacks, disappointments, bad stuff happening.
Right.
Does that mean our thoughts are failing us?
Not necessarily. It's not like we're in a bubble, right?
Yeah?
Our thoughts are mixing with tons of other stuff, other people's thoughts, their emotions, all the energy around us.
So sometimes those energies clash.
Yeah, you could say that. And when things get tough, that's when it's really important to remember.
Yeah.
We get to choose which thoughts we focus on.
Okay, so even if there's negativity around us, we can still choose to focus on something positive.
Exactly. It takes practice. It's a choice we make all the time.
The more we do it.
The stronger we get mentally, we build up this like mental landscape that helps us feel better.
It's like we're doing mental alchemy, turning the bad stuff into good stuff.
That's a great way to put it. It's about realizing we're not like victims of our thoughts.
Yeah, we have the power to choose them.
And when we do that, we shape our reality.
It's wild to think, 100 years ago, this thought transference stuff was like out there.
Yeah.
And now scientists are really starting to look at it.
Right. It's like science and spirituality are kind of meeting up in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like, have you heard about those brain-computer interfaces they're working on?
Oh, yeah, where people can, like, communicate with their thoughts.
Exactly.
Sounds like sci-fi, but, I mean,
no, right.
it makes you think, maybe those old ideas about the pineal gland weren't so crazy after all.
Right. Like maybe it's not exactly what they thought back then, but
Yeah,
the idea that our brains can send and receive information, that's definitely real.
it's true. And there's all that research on empathy and how, like, emotions can spread.
Oh, right. Like emotional contagion.
Yeah.
That's getting more and more scientific backing, too.
So stuff that people used to dismiss is now becoming, like, legit science.
It is.
But even if we never get to, like, full-on telepathy, like in the movies,
Right.
just understanding how powerful our thoughts are, that's huge.
It is. It is. And the occultists, in their own way, they were onto something.
What do you mean?
All that stuff about mental discipline, controlling your thoughts,
Yeah.
they saw it as a way to shape your reality, like for yourself and for everyone.
So we're all, like, mental architects,
Yeah.
building our lives with our thoughts.
I like that, yeah.
And if we can be more aware of our thoughts,
Then we can build something better, more intentional.
yes.
All those tools like visualization, affirmation, setting intentions,
Yeah.
those are all ways to consciously shape your mind, and that changes your experience in the world.
This whole conversation has been, like, mind-blowing, honestly. I never really thought about the power of the mind this way.
It is pretty amazing.
Even if science can't explain it all yet, there's something really powerful about knowing everything's connected.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
It does. And you know what? It reminds me of something my grandma used to say.
Oh, yeah.
She always said, a thought is like a seed. Plant it carefully, nurture it with love, and it will grow into something beautiful.
Wow, I love that. It really captures, the potential we all have to create something better.
For ourselves and for the world.
Exactly.
Well, this has been quite the journey. I'm, like, buzzing with all these new ideas.
Me too.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a song to kind of like keep this energy going,
Yeah.
you should check out Read 'Em and Weep by the Black Keys.
Oh, cool. What's it about?
It's about intuition,
Yeah.
sensing what people are really feeling, even if they don't say it out loud.
Perfect, yeah.
Fits right in with what we talked about today.
Absolutely. Yeah. And for everyone listening, as you listen to that song, remember, you have the power to shape your own reality.